welcome to Experience Share. It's a Pokemon podcast starring me, Spiritan. A.k.a. Tanner Greenring, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Crocorosh.
Those are good.
And
I think new.
Good Pokemon, and both
that fucking Spiritomb.
Challenging Pokemon this week, I would say, when we faced off against them. Because we did face off against them. I don't know if you and Bugcatcher Nation have picked up on it yet, but I always pick names of Pokemon whom we met in the previous leg, the leg we're recording about. And we met both a Crocorock and a Spiritomb, and they were both difficult, especially the Spiritomb.
The Spiritomb was the last Mon standing in that battle. And it's just like fucking hopping around like the Pixar lamp.
Yeah.
It's so inexplicable. Isn't it a ghost? Why isn't it just floating around?
In my game, it kept taking baths. It just like camped out in a little like tub and kept healing every
those
turn.
Barrels of water.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, get out of there.
That's funny. I did not step foot in one of those, actually.
I had to chase it out of there and hunt it down.
Good.
Joshua, last week I came to you a broken man because this game, specifically Kenshin of Illusio, had destroyed me mentally and physically.
That's true.
But this week I come to you brimming with confidence. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling powerful. I had absolutely no issues with any leg this week. Just kicked down the doors and took names everywhere that I went.
I had a similar experience.
Although I kind of cruised last week too, so I'm glad to hear that you were on my level this time.
You know, I think the real trick is just to check out your opponents beforehand and really think about whether or not you have the appropriate Pokemon to take them on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who would have guessed? You just have to play the game well.
Yeah.
And I played the game very well this week, Joshua.
There's a significant amount of strategy that really just comes down to like looking at what is in the castle before you decide to siege it.
Yeah.
And seeing what kind of Mon you already have in your stable and deciding whether or not you could take it on or not.
I will say though, I do go into every like non-trainer battle pretty half-cocked. And that, like, if I want to go catch a new trainer or like go and see if any of the Pokemon on a field are compatible with any of my warriors, I'll just go into those battles with whomever. And that sometimes stings me a little bit.
I did that a bit this week, but I started pivoting about halfway through because I realized that so many of the Mon that I'm working with at this point have like in the like, you know, the backwater nations that I like am delegating. I don't know what the hell is going on there most of the time.
Yeah.
I would go back and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like go in hunting for some Mon, and it's always some basic shit. And then a couple of times after I'd gone through months, I noticed that they were on training, and like a lot of Pokemon are no longer even like gaining more of a link because they've all hit
all hit their max. Yeah,
like because so many of them are like 38% or fucking 42.
You really illuminated the linking system for us last week in a way that I'd never really like. I thought I understood it, but I didn't really ever process it. But now that I'm going back and looking at all my warriors and all of their Pokemon and how strong the links are between all of them, it's horseshit.
Right. Yeah.
These people who like came into my team with a Pokemon that they chose, and it's like max is like 32%. It's like, well, then why are you working with that Pokemon,
like,
guy?
Kick him out back into the fucking woods. Like, so then I realized I went back to like, oh, that's why I think development is the best.
Yeah, I'm on development
because you're just getting money from all these fucking losers and keeping their spirits up with presumably Panagiris and booze. And in the meantime, I would choose a couple of castles like per month after the main battle, and then I would like try to find a warrior who I could find a better link for. And it did work a couple of times. Like I got one dude's 100% perfect link with a Petalil, and then I'm very proud of Katsuyori, who I found his perfect link is Larvitar, and I caught a Larvitar with him. So that's going to be fun if I can get a Tyranitar someday.
That would be nice, especially with the perfect link. I also discovered that fucking Yashimoto with his goddamn Pineco / Fortress isn't even a perfect link.
Is it not anymore? I think Pineco is, but Yeah, so they can go down.
Well, I got to figure out who his perfect link is.
It can go back up once they reach a certain link with that new evolution. Because I'm sure you must have noticed that Wigglytuff is also not Uichi's strongest bond. But I believe...
Joshua, it might come as a surprise to you that I did not realize that because I did not look.
I usually just do it anyway because I think that they can get back up there.
Yeah.
And like Double Slap was just not fucking cutting it anymore.
Yeah, double slap is not a good move.
It's very bad in any game.
A lot of them have some pretty bad moves. I'm getting pretty sick of Eevee's move set too. And I'm getting pretty eager to evolve my Eevee.
That. I went ahead and did it.
Joshua, can I tell you something?
Sure.
This is a Pokemon podcast. We play through every single Pokemon game, castle by castle, kingdom by kingdom, gym by gym, week by week,
etc.
We are in season 5X. I'm just going to start doing the Mega Man naming convention.
Yeah.
So this is season 5X, and hopefully it's the final season, sub-season of the 5th season.
Are you thinking of something else? Because I think this has to be it.
I think
to move on after
the
this.
bug catchers would have our literal heads if we tried to push off XY any longer.
We decide to just...
I'm also not interested in pushing off.
Pokemon Channel. Let's just play Pokemon Channel.
Yeah, let's play Pokemon Channel. We're just really going to do a deep dive into Pokemon Channel. Was that a Wii exclusive?
I think it was GameCube. I couldn't think of a Wii one. Must have been something, but we're not doing that.
I'm eager to play Pokemon XY. You know why? Because of two little Pokemon called Skidoo and Go-Goat.
Oh, yeah. Isn't Go-Goat... Well, I guess the Polyline is your
Polyline, but I also really like
Where
Skidoo.
is Go-Goat in the lineup? Yeah.
I mean, a close second, I think. But I've got so many beloved Pokemon now after a few years of playing Pokemon games with you. I sent you a text message about this the other day. I went to a collectible store to kill time with my son and found a beautiful Mewtwo collectible figurine from Burger King from 1999 that came in a little like canister, mint condition.
Yeah, it looks like it's his holding cell from Team Rocket when Giovanni is like birthing him.
So
I'm jealous.
I've got a lot of Pokemon I'm very fond of now. I think I'm surprised that Rotom has really rised in the ranks as much as he has, but I'm a real Rotom stan now.
You really are. You could be the world's number one Rotom stan.
I also can't remember if it's XY where we finally get the like Rotom smartphone as our Pokedex slash Intralink slash phone. But
was that not?
Might have been Sun Moon.
The newest one?
Oh, what? Was it really that late? I thought
I think it's
one of the handheld games.
I think it's Sword and Shield. Yeah, Rotom phone, Sword and Shield.
No, I can't wait for that.
They're keeping Rotom around. I guess everybody figured out
he's a lifer.
It's a hit. It's kind of messed up though, unless Rotom does Rotom like that? I guess it likes possessing appliances and shit, so it's not like being forced to be a phone. It's into it.
Now you've given me a better complex. Is like, is he like into it? You know, like, is this gratifying to him?
Pressing all those buttons.
I don't want that either, you know?
Charging him up, plugging him in.
Yeah, it horrified me the first time, like, I was talking to, like, a vet or someone who knows a lot about dogs, and I was talking about giving Hercules his lower back, his upper butt area, hard scritches.
Oh, yeah.
And how he always makes, like, funny sounds and wiggles his butt in a funny way when I do it. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're, like, kind of making him come. They're like, that it, like, stimulates his, like, genitals in, like,
That's something a vet should just keep to themselves.
I know. And now you know it, and now everyone in the bug catchers knows it. I don't even know if it's true, but perpetuate that message, everyone.
I won't.
Like Joe Rogan over here.
I'm not gonna be spreading that one around.
Joshua.
Yeah.
Last week we struggled. Last week I struggled
more than other. Yeah.
We only had to take on 2 kingdoms last week because the third caves, as we let you know last week. But this week it was the full 3 kingdom lineup. The very first one, right on the doorstep of the Terrera Nation, is the Cragspur Nation.
Yes.
With its pathetic, weakling little rock-type Pokemon.
It's what you'd think.
So I, Joshua, loaded up. I took in... Oh, you know what? I lied to you. I said it was a complete cakewalk this week. I went into Cragspur Nation.
Yeah. With
a bunch of Pokemon that I thought would be good options for Cragspur Nation. And I loaded up in that little like front room that you load up in. And I plopped my EV down on the button to open up all the doors. And then my Pokemon flooded out. I just sent them all out to chase after these rock type Pokemon all over the map.
Yeah, you start in like a tomb. And then you start in like hit a button tomb. And then all like these stone walls come down.
How appropriate. It's Easter time. And we have moved aside the boulder and we've emerged from the cave, much like Jesus.
And we're here to liberate all of these Nobunaga acolytes.
Just like Jesus.
Yeah.
Sent out all of my Pokemon out onto the field. No one told me the rules, Josh.
No.
No one told me that literally every single one of my Pokemon were going to be crushed by boulders on the next turn, because as soon as you send your Pokemon out onto these slopes to go chase down whoever the king of Cragspur is, his Pokemon all go out and start pushing boulders on you. The map is littered in boulders, and they roll down the hill and they smash into your Pokemon and do tons and tons of damage. So after one round, most of my Pokemon were below half health. And then, of course, like he just came down and like mopped up. So once I feel insulted that no one told me the rules before they set me just like half cocked into this level.
At least Yoshimoto, when we were taking over Chrysalis, had the common decency to announce that you were playing a game. He didn't really go into, the deep strategy of Pokemari, but he made it very clear that we were playing some sort of demented game. And here, Yuji Yasu just lets you show up and you think like, oh, great, I just hit this button and I can go storming out.
Yeah.
And then he sends all of his mon to just push the boulders down.
Wallop you with rocks. Yeah.
And it's like Indiana Jones, except all of your Pokemon actually get crushed to death.
So I had to come back. I had to regroup and come back.
Yeah.
Did you lose for similar reasons?
I didn't have them lined up like dominoes, like it seems like you did.
Yeah.
But
they were going single files to hide their number,
Yeah, that's a strategy that works in this. My Jigglypuff got nailed because I had it go out first, and I think maybe Drillbur. Somebody took a hit also, but the other 4 were fine.
Okay.
I lost on that battle anyway, just because I was I was at like a comparable level. He definitely had a slightly more attack power, but my type matchup was just not there.
Yeah, I think I
just
brought
didn't
in
have
psychics or something the first time, and like that was a mistake because they're just so frail that they all just got like creamed.
Yeah, and his team's got a Pansear, a Boldor, Larvitar, Roggenrola, Onyx, and Machop. So some of it's like, oh, maybe I could bring in like a flying Pokemon to deal with the Machop, except no, obviously it'll get crushed by all the Rockmons. And then like water is the best one because that covers the most.
Ground is
Psychic
pretty good
seems
too.
like it will be good, but it's not actually as effective as you'd want.
Yeah.
Ground and water is really the best way of dealing with it. I did bring in that Petalil I mentioned on my later successful foray. But I was so shook that I pivoted away, and I did a couple.
Oh, you didn't even go for the Cragspur Nation.
No, I decided to refocus my efforts on Yaksha. Down to the south, the southern peninsula of Ransei.
Don't you have to claim the Cragspur Nation to unlock Yaksha and Viperia?
No, you can't get to Viperia without having conquered one of the other two, but I noticed after this that Terrera, you can head south as well.
Okay.
And I took a look as we were talking about, I took a closer look at Yaksha and I was like, oh, it's Zoroark, it's Scraggy, it's Scrafty, Krokorok, Zubat, and Pawniard. And I was like, okay, I got a Timber that was a 100%. I got a Machop sitting around somewhere. I had my Luxio for Zubat, Jigglypuff, and Eevee were dead weight in this battle. But what else did I have? I think I brought the Larvitar I mentioned earlier as well on one of the battles.
What is Larvitar? It's ground rock? Ground dragon? Just dragon?
No. Well, in this, its attack is just rock throw, but the Pokemon itself is rock ground. It only turns into dark rock when it turns into Tyranitar.
I'm mixing it up with that other one. What's that other one called? Axew?
Axew, yeah.
That one's just straight up dragon, right?
That's right.
They look a lot alike.
Ooh,
especially in this game.
At some point.
Oh, I got one.
You got one?
An Axew? Oh, yeah.
Where did you find that?
Don't know. I don't know where I find these things,
You're
Josh.
supposed to help me and the bug catchers by telling us where you find that kind of fucking thing.
I have no idea where I found the axiom, but I'm pleased I have it. Came in handy in a couple battles this week.
It will come in handy, very handy, in the late game as well.
Let's talk about Yaksha, because the setup in Yaksha is pretty interesting. It's a little like dilapidated dojo. And it's got a bunch of like big pools of poison that you have to kind of skirt around.
Yeah, you're sort of in like the courtyard of like castle.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty hideous courtyard. And I've seen a couple of hideous courtyards. Like I think the one I mentioned at my previous apartment, which
Jesus, humble brag,
was just an alleyway where everybody...
This guy's seen so many courtyards that he has strong opinions about courtyards.
You don't have any opinions about courtyards? You don't think one that's just a glorified alleyway with a bunch of also probably puddles of poison in it, which is what I used to have?
In your last apartment was bad.
Yeah.
It was not welcoming. It was loud.
I think it's clear what a bad courtyard is. And I would say my old apartment courtyard and then also this dilapidated old castle courtyard. Full of poison puddles.
Full of poison puddles. But here's the gimmick to Yaksha.
Gimmick.
Is... I guess it's like gambling. I don't know. So every X number of turns, the roulette will spin. And whichever Pokemon gets selected by the roulette wheel gets automatically transported to this tiny little side room off the main map, which...
Well, it's actually anywhere, I found out later, because I had to play this like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, really? I got like 2 guys both sucked into that little side room.
That's what happened to me most of the time. There's like a room on the side that initially is covered with vines, and then if you get like banished there, it's like a prize room. So
yeah, it's a prize room.
It's got a bunch of like
presents that you
gifts.
Can claim. But it won't be very long before the roulette inevitably sucks in either another one of your Pokemon or the enemy Pokemon, which is what happened to me. Jigglypuff immediately got put into the prize room. And I was like, well, guess what? That's actually fine because Jigglypuff is not a big contributor here in Yaksha, right? Full of its dark type Pokemon. But then like a turn later, what is Kotaro's Pokemon?
Zoroark. Well, that's the Kotaro's like champion is Zoroark.
Pawniard. A moment later, Pawniard got pulled into the prize room with my Jigglypuff. And as you can imagine, that was not great for Jigglypuff.
No.
Pawniard had a field day with Jigglypuff in there. Jigglypuff was just running in circles around this tiny room, and Pawniard was just hunting it down.
Did you not figure out you could get out of there too?
No. Could you?
There are 2 little patches of grass on the right side of it, and if you stand and wait on one of them, it would pop you out on the other side.
No, I was fine with it. I actually think I did discover that because the enemy did that, but I was fine with it because I could just stay in there with my Jigglypuff, who wasn't going to contribute in a major way anyway, and just collect all the little gifts that were in there. So,
yeah, it's kind of nice with Jigglypuff because its warrior ability, the healing thing, could still work even from anywhere in there. So you could still heal your entire team and no one can even touch it most of the time.
Yeah, I did get through it. You actually didn't give me that much trouble.
I will say on that roulette though, I hated the roulette. That's like the worst mechanic I've dealt with so far. And it's like the RNG is so biased against the player. I think obviously.
Yeah.
I saw out of the like 4 or 5 times that I went up against Kotaru, like 2 of his Mon were ever punted somewhere.
I will say this though about the RNG is last night I was playing Pokemon Conquest and I was pretty tired, but I just wanted to like get through it so that I could record with you tonight. And I was playing a little sloppy, and at times the enemy NPC Pokemon would have a clear and decisive shot at one of my Pokemon to kill it, and would instead walk off, like wander away to go attack like some much stronger Pokemon. So I think the game does, when it senses that you're like really struggling, kind of like cut you a little bit of a break.
No, I do think there is some element of that. This is not as punishing as a mystery dungeon. That's
what happened in the Game Boy Color Pokemon trading card game, the Game Boy game for Game Boy Color too. Is every now and then it would just like seem to just sort of nerf itself against you.
Well, other than those fucking coin flips.
Oh yeah, the coin flips were actually nerfed the other direction. Those were totally rigged.
Started the fucking coin flips.
Yes, I beat Cragspur first. You beat Yaksha first, but regardless of what happens, you and I both discovered the same thing after defeating the First Kingdom this week, which is that these fanatics, these sycophants, are so obsessed with Lord Nobunaga that instead of letting you recruit any of them, they just talk shit at you and then go and like hide, go like huddle with Lord Nobunaga.
They shan't defect. They're too brainwashed. Which is something I forgot, and I was upset about that because I was like, I would love some good dark Pokemon. I mean, you can go back.
Nice. You can always just beat them and then go and catch them. Yeah,
but
Pokemon.
I don't have anybody who has like a strong connection to them. So I
want these 100%ers.
Dark Pokemon.
That's the nice part about these warlords is they all have 100% connection with the Pokemon they come with. So it's like, yeah, I want that, but no, we weren't given the option. They all run. Oh. I would love Zoroark. Anything else interesting happened to you in Yaksha?
Well, yes, because we talked about this off mic before we started.
After this break. Oh, yes. Welcome back, bug catchers. Welcome back, Joshua.
So
tell me about you just ovulated?
I was so discombobulated. You threw me off you really got me with that ad break. I don't know where the hell I am in this story.
Yeah, I broke the rules because most of the time I set it up in a way that the sentence makes sense. I say like, tell me about this after this break.
Yeah.
But that time I just shouted after this break at you.
And we got these short eps, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. Respect it.
Yeah, I'm really just trying to wig you out, man. Trying to get in your head.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to put your co-host on their back foot, you know? I think it creates good audio. You were in the Yaksha castle. You were going to tell me some wild shit that happened to you.
Well, I do have a reveal because before this, after getting crushed to death, rather, at Cragspur, I did a couple of months of training, and at one point, a traveling merchant paid a visit to where I was.
Was it the hottie or the naughty?
The naughty. I'm not quite the traveling mask salesman, but he's not a looker.
Is he as creepy as the traveling mask salesman?
No, I'd say that he was more of like kind of a hiker vibe.
Traveling mask salesman is kind of a nightmare.
I would not have bought any of his wares. I'm not really a big fan of curses. Riddles,
I am a big fan of being what are they called? Deku shrub?
Deku shrub.
Yeah. Shooting little nuts. Deku nuts.
Tell
me what happened to you in Yaksha.
Bunnyhood fan. This merchant, which I think triggers randomly, is what we were sort of determining before this, offers wares if you have coin. So
Scuba?
It's everything from like potions, super potions, but then later on in the back catalog, there's some interesting stuff where there's still a lot of items that I haven't like fully comprehended, that are like the Cerulean Grace, like, whatever. There's ones where like they'll heal the Pokemon if they're standing on a specific terrain, but you like really need to know where you're going to like make it take advantage of that. And like there's a one that heals you on grass, etc. There's like power wristbands, which you can get kind of just in the wild. I have those.
You pick them
it
up
increases attack, but it might just break randomly. But in the back, he had all the stones he could carry. Okay. Thunderstone, Firestone, Waterstone, Moonstone.
Yes. So did the hottie. We should say that 2 vendors can visit you during this week, during this leg. I didn't get this gentleman that Josh is talking about. It seems to be kind of random. But later there's a scripted event where one of the guys in your party is like, whoa, who's that sexy merchant? And it's like some woman merchant who he's just hot for. That's why we keep calling them the hottie and the naughty.
Yeah, Kaiji specifically is like awooga about this traveling merchant later.
Yeah.
This one, I did not remember that there's scripted ones, so I was like, well, I got like $7,000. I'm going to go ahead and buy this Waterstone because I wanted a Vaporeon. I did think about Glaceon. I thought about Jolteon. I did Jolteon in my original playthrough, but I've
considered Jolteon too.
I got this killer, at this point, Luxray.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't think that I need a Jolteon as badly as like my water is suffering. That Magikarp is like seemingly never going to evolve.
Oh yeah. I keep dragging mine into battle and it just like...
It's dead weight, man.
Yeah.
I still hope it happens because it is a perfect link. But in the meantime, I was like, Hydro Pump is sick. It's like a 3 tile move. I think 3, not 4.
I think because Charizard has 3 straightforward too. So I'm wondering if maybe all the like final evolutions and starters or whatever have. Although I guess Vaporeon's not really a final evolution of starter.
The long story short is I went with Vaporeon because while I know that, it's 3 squares. I just wanted to confirm that. Shout out to Cerebi. We've tweeted this now, but they've got the full Pokédex with the moves and everything for Pokemon Conquest.
Thank you, Sarah.
Glaceon is tempting because I know that I think Nobunaga is the dragon guy. In any case, some big dragon fight's coming up, and it's a nightmare, and Glaceon would be nice to have. But to get Glaceon, you need to level up. You need to beat a battle in Nixstorm, which is the penultimate castle.
Kind of sounds like some Lego shit.
Yeah, that's where my head was at too. And it needs to have at least 91 attack. So it has to be like pretty high up, and you have to wait until the fucking almost the end of the main story. So I was like, I would rather just get this thing going now, even though I love that Glaceon. You know, Brie Vandur does too, but in any
that's
case,
so hard though. Like, look at all these other ones. Umbreon is just a 70% link in Yaksha, easy.
Yeah,
I think
you could
I
already do that. Yeah,
Espeon is a 70% link in Illusio.
So
it's like I could do either of those right now.
I mean, I think my link
really
is probably
Glaceon.
still only down at 56, maybe 60, but 70
yeah,
is
maybe
still,
I'm not at 70 yet, but I
because
think
it's
I
different than
there.
the attack or defense stats. But I honestly hadn't even been paying attention to that. Like,
yeah, I haven't either. I'd have no idea
I'm
what
not
my
like
EV's
min-maxing.
attack stat is at.
But yeah, so I decided I wasn't waiting
And also,
for it.
I wouldn't know how to increase its attack stat if I wanted to.
I think it just means it must be. They can have different ones like in the wild, but that would be like, this is whatever you got by default. So you can't replace it with another Eevee.
Right.
And then like, I'm just not doing that calculation. You know what? Fuck it. I was just like, I want to start doing some damage now. I'm sick of quick attack. This thing's dead weight. It's Vaporeon time, baby. And I haven't looked back. Hydro Pump is extremely good. Especially when the next castle that you take on is Cragspur. And then you just flood the entire fucking tomb.
I have plenty of water-type Pokemon. You didn't have a single decent water-type Pokemon that you could have brought into Cragspur?
None of them have a good connection. Other than the Magikarp.
So
I don't want to waste my time on something that's a 44%, man. It's going to get capped out.
Completely different approaches to this game. I've collected every warrior, every Pokemon.
No.
I'm not too worried about the cap space.
I'm quality over quantity. I don't want a bunch of fucking riffraff in my kingdoms.
I think I'm gonna have to start coming around to your way of thinking though, because my Riolu is stuck. It's like at 36% and it can't
you got the same one? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my comments. I was like so stoked I got some warrior with a fucking Riolu. And then, it's I think literally the same. It's like a 36 and it came at 34. So it's just like, so this sucks.
And you can't trade them, like I'd love to give that Riolu to one of my other warlords, but like for some reason they just didn't include that mechanic. It's like, why not? Like these two warlords are hanging out in the same spot together.
Yeah,
can't they just trade Pokemon?
It puts so much more emphasis on the post game that we're rapidly approaching.
Yeah,
which is when you can get more diverse warriors, and you don't run into this problem as much.
Yeah,
I equipped the Water Stone to Eevee, and then after my successful battle at Yaksha, it evolved in a beautiful ceremony.
Yeah. That is how evolutions work in this game. Some of the evolutions, like I got a metal coat this week and I gave it to Scyther, has to be holding the metal coat and has to land the winning blow in a battle to evolve into Scizor.
Do you have a warrior who has a good connection to Scyther? Because the one that I had capped out at like 46 and then I just gave up.
The one I have is 70%, which is not bad.
That's worth it. I mean, I don't love it, but like I will not go lower than 70 at this point.
I won't invest a lot of time or resources into any warlord who has under a 70% connection to their Pokemon. So I am paying attention a little bit to the connections. But I will still go into battle with a Riolu if it makes sense for me to have Riolu in a battle, even though it's only 36%, you know?
It's also so funny thinking about, now I'm sure there must have been more resources early on when this game came out in 2012, but now that we're like, I've just got a whole window for Firefox that I minimize when we're not recording.
Yeah.
That's just like, or I'm not like playing and I need to reference something. That's just like a dozen tabs that are all like Cerebi, that VKun one, the like GameSpot text only walkthrough, all this shit. There must have been better resources at some point, but knowing that nuance in 2012, how much, like, I wonder if that was easier to figure out. People it's word of mouth, like, oh, well, it's not just that the Scyther needs to be holding the metal coat, it's that they have to land the final blow. Like, how are you figuring that out?
No, I know. Ridiculous. Like, it was 2012. Like, websites barely existed.
Right. I mean, I'm sure it was like, they're trying to drive sales to the Prima strategy guide.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It's like, I remember back in like, it was specifically around 2012. Like, GameStop was constant. Anytime you bought a video game from GameStop, which is where you bought all your video games, by the way.
Or EB Games, rest in peace.
Or EB Games, Electric Boutique.
Yeah.
They always tried to upsell you on the Prima guide.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I probably went for it more often than not. I think my Prima guide for Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, is like one of the most like well-used, dog-eared books I've ever owned in my life.
Yeah, that's making me nostalgic and upset that I didn't keep these now, because mine were specifically the Ocarina of Time one and Pokemon Crystal.
You got to come to this next time you're in Central Connecticut. You got to come to this collectible store that I took Miles to, because they had an entire wall of Prima strategy guides.
I'm gonna clean
like dating back to the 80s or like whenever. So what else happened to you in Yaksha? Anything else?
No. So I got I got a girder now who is also a 100%. I'm very proud of that one.
Yep. That's pretty good.
That one evolved after my successful final battle.
What's the final evolution of girder called?
Conkeldurr. So I'm excited about having that. And this thing is approaching, I think it's at 296. So it's approaching where I believe it must do the final form pretty soon. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked that up.
I want to talk to you, Josh, about these merchants, the hottie and the naughty.
Okay.
Because they had similar gear, but I only met the hottie, and I went through her stuff. I bought some evolution stones. Up until this point, I can't remember.
Oh, right. But I'm quick rant that I will do after this.
Oh, you can do your quick rant now.
Well, my rant is just the scripted thing where Kaiji gives you a water stone, a fire stone, and a thunder stone after Yaksha, and I'm like, fuck, I just blew 5,000 gold on getting this water stone, and I got the evolution sooner, but like, I don't know that I'm necessarily ever going to need a water stone again.
Yeah, I'm lousy with stones because of what's his face, Kaiji.
Yeah,
he just filled up my inventory, but I don't want those. Anyway, I had just assumed I just keep earning money and I'm not spending money because you get plenty of items on the maps. So I was like, oh, I've got essentially endless amounts of money. Like, yes, vendor, bring it on. I'm gonna buy out your entire shop. Items in this game are so expensive.
Yeah, and you've been bragging about how you were Scrooge McDuck over there.
So expensive. Like, one evolutionary stone cost 5,000 coin, and like I think I had 15,000 coin. You know, like I was like, oh, I've got more money than anyone could possibly spend in this game, right. And then like instantly like tore through my entire reserve of cash buying like 2 evolution stones and like 3 purple ponygiri.
Yeah, anything that is worth a damn is at least 1,500 and then up to 5,000.
Yeah.
So I think development, as we were saying, now that we've got so much riffraff in our kingdoms, I just definitely think development is the best way of delegating, because you just need money and you don't want to have to think about it.
I figured out 2 tricks. Is development for any nation that is full has all 6 Pokemon. But if you have a nation that doesn't have 6 Pokemon in it or 6 warlords in it, if you set them to search, at the beginning of every turn, you have like some random percentage of one of the warlords in that nation will like automatically discover a Pokemon and like pop up this little pop-up that says like, do you want to keep this, whatever, Pichu that this guy found?
So you don't have to go link with them.
No, they will
That's
come to
pretty
you.
nice. Okay.
It seems like that is happening when a nation is not completely full in my game.
I could do that with some of my chaff. Yeah.
Yeah. In doing that, I did fill up all of my nations across the board. But we'll talk about nation check in a second. I want to finish my point about the hottie's inventory.
Yeah.
Because she has an item in her like key items inventory.
Uh-huh.
That's my item finder of the week.
Oh yeah.
And it's called the Hachimaki.
Yeah. Hachimaki.
Hachimaki. It is a terrible item.
Yes.
It costs 5,000 gold for the privilege of raising your attack for 4 turns and then dying.
Yeah.
Whatever Pokemon is holding this, its attack will go up for 4 turns.
Ambiguously raising attack, and then you unambiguously faint 4 turns later.
At the end of 4 turns.
So bad.
For 5,000, but it's got a hell of a name, Hachimaki.
Hachimaki.
I wonder what a Hachimaki actually is. Did we look it up?
No. But my favorite bento box is a Maki combination.
A Hachimaki is a traditional Japanese headband, usually made of red or white cloth, featuring designs of kanji on the front. It's a white headband with a red
sushi
sun and kanji on it.
Oh,
all right. It's worn in the military to keep sweat off of faces.
I mean, that is a headband I have certainly seen before.
It's a symbol of courage, symbol of effort and courage by the wearer.
Hachimaki.
Hachimaki.
Hachimachi.
Joshua, we have one final kingdom to tackle, and we both tackled the same kingdom this time because there's only one left before we head up to the rest of the Ransei region.
Viperia.
Before we go there, do we want to talk about the teams we brought into there?
Oh, sure.
All right, let's do level check or link check.
Link check. I mean, I feel like I've revealed most of mine, so maybe I should just get it over with. I sort of like poetically weaved them into the story, I think. So
yeah, you did. It was very artful.
Josh, thank you. Joshua's got a Vaporeon now that is a hefty 446 link.
Nice.
Attack. Yeah. Oichi,
that is insane. My Eevee is 290.
Yeah, I mean,
how much did it jump up when you fed it the water stone?
I think nearly 100. But then, like I said,
Jesus.
It also just cleaned house in Cragspur.
Right.
It was like Petalil did a little damage, and then like Sfeel and like Drillbur got a couple of hits, and then fucking Vaporeon is just like super effective on almost
as
all
you
of
can
them.
imagine, my Eevee has not been extremely useful in the last few battles, so it has not gained a lot of levels recently.
It was also perfect because, as we're talking about, like Pokemon can often end up in like dominoes on that castle, and so they would be stuck trying to go through a choke point, and then I just bring the Vaporeon out, and then it's just Hydro Pump, Hydro Pump, Hydro Pump, and like hit 3 of them in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And I have not gotten to take this Pokemon out for a spin yet because I did buy a Moonstone from the Hottie trader, and Oichi has a Wigglytuff now, but it evolved right after Viperia, and it is 335, and it is also Joshy's sweetie.
And it's my You Make Me Bark Pokemon of the Week.
Oh! Okay, so we must be commenting on different aspects here.
Here's what I'm commenting on. It's little puss. It's little mean mug. For some reason, they've taken this in the big art, the splash art, like when it evolves or when you're looking at it on Oichi's screen.
It's sweetie as hell.
It's got a little puss on. It's got a little mean mug. We went from this like fun roly-poly little Jigglypuff to this like angry little Wigglytuff, and it's like, what do you got to be angry about?
It's pouty and it's fun.
What do you have to be angry about?
You have it still. Look at that. You think that's not sweetie?
Is yours making a mean mug? No, look at how pissed it is.
But it's like
quit mean mugging at me, guy.
I'm so mad at you. It's like sassy.
I don't like its attitude. I think if you're gonna come at me with that piss poor attitude, Wigglytuff, you're gonna be You Make Me Barf.
How
could you expect any
some
less?
double slapping?
Well, I'm glad. I think is that the first time that's happened?
I don't think so, but who knows at this point? I'm interested to see what it looks like on the battlefield. I'm looking at the sprites page, and it's not. It looks better than Jigglypuff.
It looks as stupid as all of them do, you know?
Yeah. I'm grading these more now.
It looks better than Jigglypuff.
The illustrations.
Yeah.
Because the cutscenes are really where it's at. And whatever, I liked its attitude, but different tufts for different folks.
Wigglies.
Yeah, that's it. Different tufts for different Wigglies.
Who else you got?
Kenshin Gallade is 325.
Okay, and you skipped Takahisa.
Oh,
Girder,
I forgot. Yeah, Takahisa is the girder. That's 296. Genshio is now a Luxray from Luxio, and it's a 98%.
Yeah.
But I was like, that seems not worth it. I don't think I'll ever get it that high. And Luxray has Thunder instead of fucking Discharge. I'm sure there was an argument for Discharge being great too, but it hits every square surrounding Luxio, and often that would be many of your own Pokemon.
Yeah.
And Thunder is just straight up 2 tiles away.
Yeah. I had taken Luxio away from Genshio in favor of a Joltik, but just this week I gave her back her Luxio because the connection is just so much better.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to train up her Luxio too into a Luxray. I also really Joltik has Electro Ball, which is just a straight up like attacks 2 tiles away for a pretty hard hit, and I vastly prefer that to Discharge.
Yeah. So Thunder, I misread it, and it's 3 tiles, so I think it's even better. Although 2 is good. 3 can backfire. I would also say I didn't even use Rhyperior for most of this because Rock
His attack is 3.
It's fucking no, isn't it 4?
Maybe it's 4 and
so far.
And you can't use it 2 times in a row. I mean, it hits hard. I kept
it does a ton of damage.
It does a ton of damage, but you have to be so far away for it to work. And
it is 3. It is 3 squares in front.
And it needs a recharge.
It needs a recharge.
Which is difficult.
I did not like it.
But also, Rhyperior has 1,000,000 hit points, so you can take a few hits while you're recharging your Rock Blast or whatever it's called.
We just had a lot of like tight spaces this leg.
Yeah, there are tight spaces.
Not useful.
Especially that one. There's one map that's like a big hill with portals all up and down it.
Oh yeah,
and they always have like 1 or 2.
One.
Yeah, they always have 1 or 2 Pokemon parked at the top of the hill, which means there's no room to do essentially you can only send up the guys who hit the next square over. Right. Anyone else you're gonna not be able to maneuver.
That was what got me to move on from Rhyperior, because I was like, oh, it can only stay down on the bottom tier, and it wasn't that useful. It's still a great mon. I mean, I got it up to 343, but it's not in this main team. So Luxray was 311, and then Katsuyori is Larvitar, and that was 198.
I'm excited about you having this Larvitar. I can't wait to see what you do with it.
I mean, I gotta get that thing up. I'm just bringing it around, like, not super useful in this battle, but I was more than covered. I mean, Gallade did most of the fucking work.
Yeah.
Anyway, because it's super effective. I just wanted to level up. I want that Pupitar, and I want that Tyranitar as quick as possible.
Any honorable mentions? Any other Pokemon out in your kingdoms?
We complained about Riolu. I caught a Shieldon that I was also very happy about. And then it's again Shieldon. Like a 42 or something.
Yeah, it sucks.
Sort of upsetting. But I had a Masatoyo and Drillbur around very frequently. That's up to 245. I think it's a 70. And then I got Sasai and Sfeel at 194, which I think also was a 70. And I just, at this point, don't think I'm going to get a better ice option. So I'm trying to get it leveled up so it can start evolving. But they were all good.
Yeah. I didn't include it in my honorable mentions, but I did catch a Cupchew this week. So I think that might be my ice type until I can get Umbreon or Glaceon
learn
up
to
and running.
it.
I don't like it, but I think I'll deal with it. King Boo is canonically King Boo from the Mario games. He's collecting an all-sexy Pokemon team. He's got a lot of work to do.
Lots of work to do.
Eevee is at 290. I got all the same evolution stones from Kaiji that Josh did, but I won't use any of them yet. I think I'll miss my Eevee too much.
You're not sure, yeah.
Oichi, I also evolved my Oichi's Jigglypuff into a Wigglytuff and then saw its attitude and immediately regretted it. 323. I'm still rocking Shingen, Rhyperior, 386.
Damn.
Still rocking Kenshin, Gallade, 369. Still rocking Yoshimoto, Fortress, 328. And I'm still rocking Takatora, Charizard, 377. I just love those 4.
Yeah.
I think those four, they're so versatile. Like Fortress wasn't exactly useful in Viperia, as you can imagine, being a bug steel, but like not bad. And his move is a steel type gyro ball, so it hit pretty hard in the Poison Nation.
Yeah, you have good coverage.
It's not bad. Yeah, I need water, I guess. God, do I have to go for Vaporeon too? No, certainly not.
That's interesting. What about,
and then
who are your supports? Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions this week is I caught a Ghastly with King Boo. Oh. It's not a great connection, but it's just kind of nice to have a ghost type Pokemon.
That is fun.
And
where was that? Yaksha?
It was in the one that has the big like balance beam right in the middle of the map, the big red balance beam, and you start on one side of it and they start on the other, and you can like kind of climb on top before they do. A couple of
them have that set up, but I don't remember which one it is.
I don't remember either. That's where I got that.
Oh, I guess it was probably maybe Chrysalis because it's poison. No, that's Bug.
I don't know. And then I did buy a Sunstone and level up Yakamoto's. What's it called? The second one? Sawaddle? Yeah. Leveled up Sawaddle into Leavanny. So spent $5,000 to finally start my journey into an all sexy Pokemon team. I'm gonna have to kick these scrubs, Shinken and Kenshin and Yoshimoto off my team.
Yeah.
To make room for some sexier Pokemon.
I guess Gallade
is pretty sexy. Yeah.
I think so.
Joshua, before we go and talk about the final battle.
Yeah.
We agreed last week we would talk about date check.
Yeah. Date check.
Because neither of us were sure how long we had been playing in game diegetically. For me, it's October year 6.
And for me, it's October year 3.
So
it's funny that we both somehow ended up in October, but 3 years apart, different timelines.
That is weird.
And every like turn is a month, bug catchers. So it's like you can exhaust all of them on, or like do a couple of battles and then delegate the rest.
Yeah.
And then you move forward. I think I do more like micromanaging, where I'm checking like what Pokemon are in the like wild areas.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you're probably being a little bit more smart about it.
I'm trying to match the perfect links a little bit more.
Yeah, I should probably start doing that too. And then what about your Warlord Warlady check?
Well, I'm sure.
Where are you at?
I'm going to get crushed here. I'm at 54 from 35 last week.
Pathetic.
What do you have?
72. Every single one of my castles is completely full.
Fucking Christ.
I can't sleep at night if there's any open spots in any of my castles. So
that's nice. You're housing everyone who needs it.
Yeah. I'm an opportunity creator, you know?
Yeah.
Come join my army.
Even if their opportunities are just 36%.
Viperia Nation, back to what I was saying in cut earlier, so you didn't hear it. But Viperia Nation's sort of this dilapidated dojo. Many of the rooms have like big puddles of poison right in the middle of the room that you have to walk around. Yeah. And then there are these little like trap doors. So if you end your turn on a trap door, it'll pop you out somewhere else on the level. It works just like teleporters, except they don't shift every like third turn like teleporters do.
Right.
And this one is a banner battle. So the 3 middle rooms, there's 9 rooms, and the 3 middle ones each have a banner, and you have to just go and race for them and claim them.
Yeah. It looks cool, but it's tough because there's pools of poison you have to race over. There's trap doors.
I came in here with the team I just mentioned, actually. So Gallade obviously did a ton of good work in here, and Viperia did a ton of good work in here, but Fortress and Charizard were nothing to sniff at. Obviously, Eevee and Wigglytuff were almost completely useless, but the nice part about banner matches is you can just send them to go sit on banners.
Right.
And so I managed to kill everyone except Spiritomb.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too.
Who had just parked themselves in a hot tub. And was like, wailing on my Jigglypuff, who was parked on a banner. And then they were both healing at the end of every turn. Because if you park yourself in a hot tub, you heal. So then I realized that the furthest banner, the furthest, like, even though I had killed the guy who was on it, I neglected to claim the banner. So instead of defeating the Spiritomb, I just ran back with Eevee and got that banner and ended the match. Because this is another one where you don't have to hold the banners. As soon as you have all the banners, you win.
Right.
So I defaulted on Spiritomb.
Yeah, mine was relatively similar. I also needed to get the last banner. It was like all of his mon essentially like rushed out.
Yeah.
And who's the
It
leader?
is nice though, because there is a trapdoor that you can get to pretty easily from your starting location that literally spits you out right behind them, their starting zone. So on their first couple turns, they make a big run for the middle set of rooms, but you can just flood that trapdoor and pop out behind them and then just go and like wail on them. That's what I did.
Yeah, you could just follow them.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but Nene, sorry. I got the leader wrong. So
Oh yeah, it's Nene, and it's also
watch her
the
Nene.
dude who we fought in watch me Nene. The dude who we fought in Ignis Nation, Hideyoshi, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
He's here now too.
Oh yeah. A disciple
And he's got
of
his
Nobunaga
little,
now.
Not Infernape, but whatever the
No, it wasn't.
the middle
It wasn't an
is.
Infernape, or was it Monferno?
I think it was Monferno. Yeah,
It's Monferno. Yeah. He taunts you. He's like, I'm gonna go with Nobunaga on this one. I like this side of the dark side.
His Monferno is a joke, though. Just the first Pokemon I killed.
Me too. It was like it came out like scurrying toward the first banner and right out front of them, and I had taken a trapdoor, so I was pretty close. And then the Arbok goes behind it and takes the banner, and then the Monferno's standing there, and then I just pop off with the Vaporeon and Hydro Pump, and it just dies like 300 damage.
They're also not very good at avoiding the poison puddles. Like his whole team ended up poisoned. Nene's whole team
ended up getting one poisoned when I was just like trying to rush over to the far west of the castle at the end, because Spiritomb and mine just like took a trapdoor in the very beginning and ended up at the bottom, and then just like sauntered over to the last banner in the farthest room. So everyone gets slaughtered, and then it's just me trying to send all of my Pokemon to catch the Spiritomb.
one at a time to just get eradicated.
Yeah.
And similarly, Nene has a pretty like worthless Pokemon. I'm now not remembering who it was, but was it the Arbok?
No, it was Golbat.
Oh yeah, Golbat. Ugh.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I don't even remember what that thing did. I think I just thundered it basically out of the gate.
I just fire blasted it out of the gate.
Like, I don't even know what this thing fucking does.
So yeah, I think that's it this week, Joshua. Anything else happened to you on your journeys that you want to talk about?
Do I?
I don't know. Do you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Thank you for joining us this week. I have been Spiritan, aka Tanner Greenring, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Krokorosh, aka Joshua Fjellstead. Please do rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and do follow the show anywhere that you follow podcasts, and do follow us at EXPSharePod on Instagram and Twitter. You can check out the lineup for the rest of the Conquest journey that we're on. When you go to our Twitter, it's, I think, pinned, but if not, it's just a few tweets back. So
we'll repin it, or if we don't, it should be right there. We're not that prolific. Any tweet that we make is well thought out, but we don't tweet all the time. You know?
We're pretty careful. Yeah. We're going to take on Masamune and Ayasu and No next week.
No.
That
was what my warlord name would be. I should have named myself that. And that's the Avianation, Spectra, and Valora. So next is our penultimate episode, technically. It seems like. So there's a lot of post game. We know we've sort of hinted at that. I think we'll try to cover as much as we can in the sixth and final episode coming up after that. But we're not going to do all of it. We gotta keep moving.
That means you guys should get your X and Y carts ordered now, because that's only a couple of weeks away. So.
That's right.
Join us for that journey as well.
And join us on the subreddit, reddit.com/r/bugcatchers, and buy our merch at expsharemerch.com. Simple as that.
Joshua, Bugcatchers, goodbye.
Smell you later.